73%. That's the percentage of women who say menopause directly caused their marriage to break down. Not contributed to it, not complicated it, caused it. And almost none of their partners saw it coming. There's a second number that explains why. And it's connected to something that has been happening in marriages for generations that nobody has ever properly named. Here's what the inside of that statistic actually looks like. One day, she was the woman he fell in love with, laughing at his jokes, reaching for his hand, certain of herself in a way that made the whole house feel steady. And then, somewhere around her late 30s, maybe her early 40s, something shifted. Not all at once, not dramatically, the way important things always change. Slowly, quietly, until one day you look up and realize the person across from you feels like someone you're still trying to figure out. She was irritable in ways he didn't recognize, exhausted in ways sleep didn't fix, pulling away when he reached for her, snapping at things that never used to matter. And he did what most partners do when they don't understand something. He tried to fix it. He suggested she get more sleep. He asked if she was stressed out about work. He gave her space, then more space, then wondered if the space itself was the problem. He hadn't done anything wrong. She wasn't going anywhere. Her body was going through something that nobody, not him, not her, not a single person in their lives, had ever been prepared for. If you love a woman who is somewhere in this journey, first, thank you for being here. The fact that you're watching this means you're already doing something most partners never do. You're trying to understand. And understanding, as it turns out, is the one thing she actually needs most from you right now. Not solutions, not suggestions, not a better version of the advice you'd already tried. Understanding. Here's what's happening inside her body in the simplest terms I can offer. Her estrogen, the hormone that has been quietly running her entire biological operation since puberty, is starting to decline. And here's the part that explains almost everything you've been confused about. Estrogen doesn't just control her reproductive system. It controls her mood, her sleep, her memory, her energy levels, her body temperature, her emotional regulation, meaning how she processes frustration, fear, and stress. So when estrogen starts fluctuating, and during perimenopause, it doesn't decline in a straight line, it swings wildly up and down. Everything it was managing starts behaving differently too. The sleep gets disrupted, the mood becomes unpredictable, the patience gets shorter, the body feels unfamiliar to her. The desire for closeness shifts. Sometimes she needs more connection, sometimes she needs more space, and sometimes she genuinely doesn't know which until she's already reacted. And here's specifically what makes this so devastating for relationships. It's not just that her body is changing, it's that the hormonal system changing inside her body is the exact same system that regulates how she responds to the people closest to her, how quickly she reaches for her limit. Her brain is operating with fluctuating levels of hormone that controls how she processes frustration, how quickly she reaches her limit, how long it takes to recover after a difficult moment. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to drive a car where the steering wheel randomly stops responding 30 seconds at a time. That's not reckless driving. That's a mechanical issue with the vehicle. You're not the steering wheel, but you are the person in the passenger seat wondering why the car keeps swerving and wondering what you did to make it happen. You didn't do anything. The vehicle has a temporary mechanical issue, and the person driving it is doing the best she can with a system that is not cooperating. The only difference between now and every generation before hers is that now someone is finally saying it out loud. And here's why that silence specifically destroyed so many marriages. That second number, the one this whole episode is built around, is coming up next. That second number is 70%. And here's what connects it to the first one. There's a word for what happens when those two numbers meet. It's called Menodivorce. When the challenge of menopause contribute to the breakdown of a marriage, not because anyone stopped loving each other, but because nobody gave either of them the tools to understand what was happening. For most of history, the changes women went through in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s were simply not spoken about. Not at the dinner table, not between friends, not at the doctor's office, and certainly not between partners. Women were expected to carry this quietly, to keep the house running, to keep showing up, to manage whatever their bodies were doing without making it anyone else's concern. And the people who loved them were handed nothing. No language for what they were watching, no framework for why she seemed different, no map for the territory they were both suddenly living in. If a man in 1955 noticed his wife becoming more withdrawn, more tired, more difficult to reach, what was he told? Be patient. She's going through a phase. Women are emotional. Generation after generation, navigating one of the most significant biological transitions a woman experiences, completely in the dark, together but separately. Not because they wanted to leave, not because the marriage was wrong, because the silence had lasted so long that by the time the symptoms peaked, neither one of them had the words to describe what was happening. And in the absence of words, distance fills the space instead. But here's what the research also shows, and this is the part that changes everything. The couples who make it through this, who come out the other side closer than they went in, didn't have an easier journey. They just did 4 things differently, and none of them are what you'd expect. So here's a real question. Not just, why is this happening? But what do you actually do when you're the person standing beside her and you finally understand what you're both navigating? The first thing, and this is genuinely the hardest, is stop trying to solve it. This is not a problem you can fix. It's not a conversation that ends. It's not a supplement you can order. It's not a weekend away that resets everything. This is a biological transition that is going to take the time it takes. What you can do, the only thing that actually changes the dynamic, is witness it with her instead of fighting it. When she is struggling, she doesn't need you to have the answer. She needs you to sit down beside her and mean it when you say, I don't fully understand what you're going through, but I'm not going anywhere. The second thing, and this one requires practice, is to stop taking it personally. When she snaps, and there will be moments when she snaps, it is not about you. Her brain is running on fluctuating levels of the same hormone that regulates emotional response. On the days that hormone is low, her threshold for frustration is genuinely lower. Her recovery time after conflict is longer. Her patience is a resource she is actively managing. You are not the cause of that. You are the person closest to her when it shows up. There's a difference. The third thing is to keep learning. Perimenopause is not a moment. It's not a week or a month or a bad year. It can last anywhere from 2 to 12 years. The partners who know that don't spend years waiting for her to go back to normal. They spend those years learning what this version of normal actually looks like and how to show up for it. And the fourth thing, maybe the simplest and the most overlooked, is to ask her what she needs. Not what you think she needs, not what seems logical from the outside, what she actually needs. Because every woman moves through this differently. Some need more presence. Some need more space than usual. Some need a partner who will sit with her in a specialist waiting room and help her ask the questions she's too exhausted to remember to ask. Some need you to take the kids so she can sleep for 3 uninterrupted hours on a Tuesday afternoon without having to explain why. The only way to know which is to ask. And then, without trying to improve the answer, to actually listen to it. Those 4 things: witnessed, not fixed, not personal, prepared, not blindsided, asked, not assumed. The couples who figure that out describe what happened next as something they never expected. Not just survival, something closer to the opposite. That 73%, the women who said menopause caused their marriage to break down, most of them were not with the wrong person. They were with someone who never received the information they needed to show up differently. Someone who interpreted her withdrawal as rejection when it was exhaustion. Who interpreted her irritability as unhappiness with him when it was a hormone doing what fluctuating hormones do. The information that could have changed everything for those couples is the same information you have now. She is not going crazy. She is going through something that every woman before her went through without anyone beside her who understood why. You get to be different. You get to be the person who looked it up, who showed up, who didn't walk away when it got hard to understand. You get to change that number.